Hi everyone, this is Carl Schuckert. Welcome back to your training site, FinalExpenseProgram.com, your leading authority for final expense sales education. Before we get started, this is copyright material and duplication, distribution, reproduction is strictly prohibited by law without written consent from FinalExpenseProgram.com. What I'd like to do first is go ahead and have you grab that new notebook you should have already had by now. Do make sure you take this very seriously. We are talking about your career here, so go ahead and do that now and press pause, and of course I'll wait. Okay, great to have you back. If you had to pause this, go ahead and turn off any distractions like your Facebook, turn off your cell phone, or put it on vibrate. Part of my dream of this site is to help you increase your profits. If you're already in the final expense industry or if you're completely new, we will teach you from the ground up. I want to help you increase your production in a major way. And I know we can do this by following some simple techniques and tools that you can learn. Sure, some of the stuff will seem confusing or hard at first. I promise you, it'll be easy once you've learned it and instilled it by practicing it over and over. So much so that you will have no choice but to get better at this. Just like riding a bike for the first time, or anything you did for the first time for that matter, it will seem hard. The biggest thing you will get out of this training is you are going to see more money in your bank account, and I believe you should be extremely excited about that. I know I am, as long as you follow these keys to ensure that you do. So, is this what you're looking for? More training? More money in your bank account? And if it is, and you're excited about it, put a big heck yeah at the bottom. Say yes at the bottom. Say something about the training or blog that you're excited about, or use the social media Facebook element. That will tell me that you're committed, and I need to see that you're committed to succeeding in this business. This is also part of the interactiveness that we're looking for. This is what gets me excited. What gets me the most excited is when I get to hear your success stories, or when you got something out of this like an aha moment, even hearing about what you're going to change because of this series. So tell me and tell the community what you're most excited about. Go ahead and use this membership site as a reference point for your training. Write on here what you've learned or what you're used in the field. What kind of results you've had. Please make sure we only hear positive news and feedback, so we can absolutely make sure it's positive. I must say, if you're not going to make some changes and follow some of these training sessions, then please do us both a favor and unsubscribe from this program as soon as possible. If you're the kind of person that has been identified as a dream crusher, please just unsubscribe now. Unless you're open-minded enough and willing, or more like ready to make some of these changes that you need in order to succeed. You know, the old saying is, if you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always got. You really have to have a mind shift here, especially if you're that kind of person. Something else I want to say to the other people is that you need to identify who these dream crushers are. These are people who just never get it. These are the people that will say negative things about what you are doing only because they themselves cannot hack it, or they did something similar and failed, so now they feel compelled to bring you with them. Then spend their life talking trash rather than just moving on or progressing towards chasing their personal dreams and aspirations. Reality is perception, and life is what you make of it, yet you have to do something about it, especially if you're not happy with where you're at currently. We all know who these people are. We see them on blogs, and some of them are our close friends, our neighbors, and even our family members can be some of the biggest dream crushers out there. Just identify who these people are and remind yourself that they are only going to give you motivation to succeed. See, you can use someone else's negative energy and flip it into a positive. Personally, I love proving people wrong. These dream crusher people are people that just failed and did not get that failure is a good thing. You need to fail to understand how to succeed. You get to change your mindset for the fact that failure is a good thing, and failure is progression. Failure teaches you how not to fail. Failure teaches you how to succeed. Failure teaches you what you're doing right, and it teaches you what you need to change in order to succeed. You see, you need to fail. That's all I really want to talk about that. Just if you're that dream crusher person, please take yourself off this program so you can respect the people that are working hard. Thank you very much. So go ahead and grab that pen real quick and that notebook that you wrote Final Expense Training Manual on. Go ahead and do that now and press pause and come right back. All right, before I get into this opportunity of why Final Expense is such a great opportunity, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. And again, I'm not talking about myself to toot my own horn or anything like that. I just want you to have an idea of who I am and really why I'm in this business. A little over 10 years ago, I started in this industry and I actually came across another sales business before that. I was selling security systems, and the reason why I went into the business of sales was because I knew door-to-door selling would be a challenge. And I also knew that I wanted to be in sales of some sort. I always heard that how sales was one of the top 2% of income earners. I knew that at the time that this would be the best move for me was to learn how to become really good, and the best way that I could learn was to push myself out of my comfort zone. So going out door to door, making fun out of it, and figuring out how to become successful. So I ended up doing that for about 3 years. Since then, I became the #1 salesperson in the whole country within that company. I also pretty much went as high as one could go in management as a city manager of an office here in my hometown. So at that point, I decided to look for what was the next level, what was my next step in my sales career. That's when I looked at both real estate and the insurance industry. After learning that both industries were the biggest industries in the world, so at that point, I decided to get into the insurance field. And the reason why I decided to go this direction was because it was proven to be a recession-proof industry. Also, when we have bad economic conditions, that life insurance sales usually increased. Luckily, I ran into a fantastic career opportunity with a large Platinum 400 captive carrier where I helped build a territory from $20,000 a year in production to over $2 million a year. I even personally wrote $124,000 in first-year premium my first year. I earned over 70 certificates of achievement as a top producing agent. I earned many plaques and awards as a top producer, supervising agent, and managing general agent. My agency at that time won many achievements as well. I even won trips to conventions to exotic locations. And again, I'm not saying this to keep tooting my own horn or anything like that. I'm just saying that this was my story. Also, I'm really no different than most people. I just have a really good work ethic and I follow systems well. That's it. Everyone learns at different levels and has different learning curves. So for some, they might get this right away or within 6 months. I would say that most will be successful with this within 6 months. Some people, that same 6 months will end up taking them a year or two. Everyone has different learning styles. So what you need to do is figure out what style is going to work best for you. Then once you identified that style, you can actually use it for your strength or progress pretty quickly. But for now, use the styles you can find. Use reading, listening, and visuals. Also, I wanted to mention that if you use the community aspect of this site, you're going to also be learning. Now, during this time in my life, I helped open up 4 offices. I was on the special team to a board of directors, and I was a regional manager where my next step would have been a partner. However, after about 4 years and moving twice and working within this captive agency, I decided to go out on my own. This was one of my biggest mistakes of my business life. Because when you go from places where you have tons of support and you have leads and you have systems to follow in place, all you really have to do is show up and work the systems and you pretty much were successful. Sure, people came and left. That's just the nature of the business, and there are all kinds of reasons why this would happen because however, I will talk a little bit more about that later. So what I'm getting at is that I went into the world of working directly for myself, by myself, and it was not always rainbows and unicorns. I found out that I literally had to support myself. I had no support. I had to pay for my leads 100% on top of that, and I had to keep myself motivated. And a lot of people, they end up quitting. Something like 90% quit this business because of support, lead costs, and motivation. Did I ever struggle? Wow, oh my gosh, did I ever struggle? This is when I hit the lowest point in my career. Not only you are working for yourself, you have a ton of trial and error. I also ended up getting scammed from a few marketers as well. And I'm not going to get into this either, But if you're an independent agent, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're a captive agent, just be glad you do not know what I'm talking about. Then I would get ripped off on a monthly basis from lead vendors who would say, "We've reinvented the wheel. We have this new lead that converts better than any other lead." So I would fall for them left and right, even though I was on my last $400 and rent was due the very next week. I used every lead out there. I did email marketing. I used internet leads. I did these insert sheets that go into people's credit card bills. I bought into telemarketing and even started a telemarketing firm where I outsourced to India and the Philippines, even in the US. I bought lists from many different list vendors that would say, "These people inquired about Final Expense within the last year or two." I did newspaper ads. I did TV commercials. I can say that I've pretty much ran every single lead out there. I even used leads that were for other products, and these leads were ideal because they fit the demographics of the client to cross-sell, of course, of our products. And I also used mailers and postcards. And guess what? Not all of them worked out. Some were better than others, and that was my experience with them. I know that I would do well once I got in front of the prospect. It did not matter where the lead came from. The problem was with the leads is that you needed 100 to get into the door, while others all you needed was 3. This is why the lead needs to be a lead of quality, a lead that does not misconstrue or twist a client with cheesy bait and switch gimmicks. So I left a 6-figure-a-year opportunity where I was determined to become a partner, and if I ever had to do it again, I would never have done so. But where there's a will, there's a way. And mistake after mistake, I finally got fed up and I aligned myself with some movers and shakers in this business. I found some great products and I found some great lead sources. I turned this business into a game and I built my own presentation and I worked that presentation. Then one of my partners built a presentation that was of great quality as well. So we took our minds and we built this awesome presentation where we were experiencing 50 to 80% closing ratios. And since then, I've even revamped my presentation to work on all platforms. You'll have a chance to get access to it later. This was our experience and a handful of people that we shared it with who had the same experience. Now, because of all the trial and tribulations that this business can cause, I had an idea about this site. When I first got on my own, I thought, what if there was a place where I could go to on a daily basis, get all the training I needed, became part of a community that is united within itself, where I could share ideas from peers and get feedback, learn from the best in the business. Now, I'm not talking about another blog. There are plenty of those out there, and you'll want to be careful not to get too involved with some of these blogs. I believe that there's a lot of misinformation out there. If you do get involved, just remember not to believe everything you hear. Now, I'm not saying that every business or person is a crook. Just be careful and identify the dream crushers, and if it's too good to be true, programs. Anyway, that was when the idea of this site was conceived. Now, all I had to do was make it a reality. Now that it is, I welcome you to the group. Let's take you to the next step. My goal is to over-deliver with content that works, and my goal is to show you how to cut cost, which makes you more money, and teach you new ways or more ways to close the sale and make the money. Really, this is all about the money. Now, I'm not saying that money is everything. Money is just the conduit to get you what you really want in life. Now let's talk about this opportunity. Just remember, if you've been doing this business for a while, that not everyone has so be patient. Also, this is the reason today we have multiple trainings available. In the next 5 days, we're going to give you just about everything you need to turn your business up. Okay. Now let's go ahead and talk about the opportunity. You see, the opportunity in the final expense industry is a recession-proof business because of the fact that most people who you see are on a fixed, predictable income. This is the senior market, and the other market is the largest segment in the country, the baby boomers. Did you realize that? One baby boomer will retire every 8 seconds for the next 18 years. The number of Americans 55 or older will almost double by 2030 from 60 million to 207 million people. Wow. Today's 90% of 55 and older Americans believe that pre-planning is a good idea, and only 12% have actually done so. LIMRA recently reported only 44% of households have no personal life insurance, and that 25% said that they were ready to buy now. 71% think that it should be done with you, their trusted advisor. Also, 16.7 million Americans plan to pre-fund their funeral next year, and that survey source was from the National Funeral Association. So like I was saying, this is a huge opportunity. Okay, I'm going to stop it here. On the very next video, we're going to talk about what's in it for you and the major challenge with being in a sales career. You're not going to want to miss it. See you soon. Also, remember to like us on our social media outlets for added benefits. This is Carl Schuckert with FinalExpenseProgram.com.